Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Thanks for joining me today. It's been a while since I've been able to make a video for you, but I'm happy to finally have a few minutes. Got past Christmas and all the chaos with the beginning of January and the kids going back to school, and I've had some ideas again rolling around in my head, so I figured I would take a few minutes to talk to you about what I'm thinking. I've seen a lot of posts on social media lately, especially on triathlon groups, about swimming and how a lot of pools are still closed around the United States and really all over the world. And those who do have access to swimming pools, a lot of times are swimming on their own, and there's limited lane space. And many of us do not have a swimming background. So a lot of triathletes are bikers, runners, or maybe soccer players or some sort of other sport that they used to play as a child, but maybe they knew how to swim and they're not really great at it, or maybe they didn't know how to swim at all and they're adult swimmers. Maybe they just learned to swim for the sake of wanting to do a triathlon. So we're kind of all over the place with where our backgrounds are coming from. But that being said, I have a bit of advice that I would like to share. So I've been doing triathlon for about 10 seasons now, and I took swim lessons as a kid, but I was not a competitive swimmer. I was not what I would consider a good swimmer as a kid. I learned all the strokes. And then, my family had a pool, so, I swam a lot growing up, just playing around in the pool, but it was never for exercise until I was an adult. And I started working at a place that had a pool, a physical therapy clinic that had a pool. And I swam when I had my lunch break and stuff like that. I would swim for fitness, and I really enjoyed it. Again, I think in my mind, I thought I was better at it than I really probably was. And I don't know really how fast I would swim because I never timed myself, but I would just swim for, like I said, for fitness for 20 minutes or whatever, I would swim. So that was the time when I had my first encounter personally with a triathlete. And she said, well, I've seen you swim in there, and you can swim enough for a triathlon. You should do a triathlon. I didn't take her up on that offer, but, she planted a seed. And then years later, when I did my first triathlon, I, went, like I had always swam for fitness, went to the pool and just kept swimming. And that was a 750-meter swim, so about a half mile. And I felt like that was the thing I was the least worried about at the time, was the swim. I thought I was a pretty good swimmer in my mind. Little did I know that I wasn't as good as I thought I was. And I was probably like where a lot of people are, I think, where you finally learn how to swim and you can maybe swim consistently without taking breaks at the wall for a while, and you're not particularly fast, but you can do it. And that's kind of where I was at. And I was disappointed with that swim because I got out of that water. Now, it was open water, mind you, is my first experience with open water. I never even practiced in open water because I didn't have any near me that I could practice in. And that 750 meters took me a little over 17 minutes. I want to say it was almost 17 and a half minutes, actually, which isn't terrible, but it was a lot slower than I expected to go. I thought I would be able to do it in closer to 15. So again, the ideas we set in our heads, and again, is that a realistic expectation? In my mind, it was. But is it really fair to expect yourself for your first triathlon and first experience in open water to be able to swim at a decent speed? Whatever. But either way, I finished the race and did a few more triathlons, knowing that I needed to do something different because no matter how much I swam, I just wasn't getting any faster. I could swim for longer periods without wearing myself out, but I just didn't feel like I was getting any faster. So finally, a few years later, when I was training for my first half Ironman, I knew that going into that half Ironman, I wanted some help with my swim, because not only did I want to be able to swim a 1.2 mile swim and then follow it up with a bike and run and not die on the bike, I wanted to be able to be proud of my swim time. I didn't want to be particularly slow. So I looked into my local masters team. Now, that is what this video is really about, is what is a masters team? Should you look for a master's team? How do you know if you're ready for a master's team? So the US Masters, and their website is usms.org. It sounds like master sounds pretty intimidating, right? Like, oh, you're really good at something if you're a master. That's not what masters means. Masters swimming is 18 and over. So it's not collegiate swimming, and it's not open to people under 18. Anybody 18 or older who is not a collegiate swimmer anymore can join. Now, there are former collegiate swimmers. There's former competitive high school swimmers who don't want to swim for college or can't swim for college. There are plenty of people. There's a lot of triathletes. There's a lot of older people who have been swimming for fitness their whole lives, but they just want something a little bit more challenging and structured. There's some people who are retired and used to swim, but really enjoyed it and now are coming back to it, and in their older senior years, and they just want to adopt it and have a good time and make friends on the team. And some of them compete and some of them don't. And then there are quite a few people who fell away from swimming. Maybe they were collegiate swimmers and then they finished college, they started their career, they started their family, they were super busy, and they didn't swim for a long time. And they're just like, hey, I want to get back to the pool and I really want to get back to some good working out, and maybe they do want to compete. So first, I would like to say, just because you join a master's team does not mean you need to do meets. Some master's teams don't even do meets. My master's team does, but you are never required. There's a little bit of pressuring from some of the team members who are really excited about meets, but there are a lot of team members on my team who have never done a meet. I started doing meets and found that I really enjoy them. It's just a different form of competition, and it's nice to have something to work towards in the winter when it's off season for triathlon. So that's number one. Number two, again, you don't have to qualify to be a master's swimmer. You simply would probably do best off contacting your local coach and telling them about what you're capable of and seeing if they recommend learn to swim program, like an adult swim lesson program, or if they think that you're ready for the master's team. Most master's teams will let you come a couple times and try it out before you decide if you think it's a good fit for you. For me, I came to practice and watched one practice and then came to two more practices before I paid for anything. Before, I was really sure, because I was a little worried that I wasn't going to fit in. And even when I joined, I was definitely not the slowest person. And that made me feel like, okay, this is a good place for me. Like, I thought I was a lot slower after I had done a few races and seen how fast everybody else was, or a lot of other people were. So just to give some idea, that when I joined was 2013. So now it'll be 8 years this July since I joined the team. And I've been swimming with them, save for a couple of seasons where I took a season off, or I maybe was pregnant, and during my pregnancy, I don't like to swim with a team because I like to kind of do my own thing, swim at my own pace. But I've been largely swimming with the team for all this time. I have to say that I have gotten so much faster. And yes, we do practice backstroke and breaststroke and butterfly. But the thing that is awesome about masters is that you are never forced to do anything. You can choose to do the drills they're doing. You can choose to do the strokes they're doing, or you can be like, you know what, I don't want to do butterfly. I'm just going to swim freestyle. And you know what? They will let you. And so don't ever feel like that's a reason for not joining because you're afraid that they're going to force you to do something you're not comfortable with. The beauty of masters is that everyone is an adult, and they're not necessarily competing like a collegiate team. They're not competing on that kind of a level. So you are literally allowed to just choose what you do or don't want to do. But you should still take into consideration that if you're joining, you should try to do the things the coach is asking you to do, because even learning all those other strokes will help you become a more proficient swimmer. You will move through the water better. You might be like, I don't need to learn how to do breaststroke or backstroke. I'm just going to swim freestyle for races. That's true. But the way that you come in contact with the water and your catch and your kick is affected by all the different types of strokes and all the different drills you would learn. So to give you an idea of kind of like what we're talking about speed-wise and how much faster I've gotten, and I'm not meaning to brag, I'm just trying to show you what is possible with a master's team, is so in the very beginning, one of the benchmarks that we do test-wise is a set of 100-yard swims. And so they'll do those on a certain interval and see if you can hold this interval. So in the beginning, we did 10 of them, 10 times 100 yards. And the coach asked me if I could do them on a 2-minute interval. But what I thought she meant is that, can I swim 100 yards in 2 minutes? Which the answer at the time for me was yes. But it was yes in my head. It was yes. I didn't understand what she was saying. I could swim 100 yards in 2 minutes and then rest after that before swimming another 100 yards in 2 minutes. When they give you an interval, your rest is built into that interval. So if they tell you your interval is 2 minutes, if you come back at 1 minute 50 seconds, then you have 10 seconds to rest and then you go again. So could I swim hundreds on the 2 minute? No, I could not. I had to swim them on like a 2:05 or a 2:10 interval. So that would mean I would come back at roughly 2 minutes, maybe a couple seconds less. And then I would get, 5-10 seconds rest, and then I would go again, and we would do 10 of those. So throughout the course, and by the way, 100-yard sets are really good for distance swimmers and triathletes. So if you ever just need a go-to workout, do 8 or 10 or 12 or 15, whatever, sets of 100 on an interval. So stick to the interval. It should be hard enough that you need a little bit of rest when you come back, but if you're resting more than 15 seconds, by the third, fourth, fifth one, if you're still resting more than 15 seconds, you need to trim your interval down because it's too generous. So in the beginning, like I said, I was swimming sets of 10 hundreds on the 2:05 or on the 2:10. And several years later, for the past year and a half, I've been capable of swimming up to 15, I think is the most I've ever done, sets of 100 yards. And I can do them on the 1:45 interval. That means that I am coming back somewhere around 1:35, maybe 1:37 and 1:38, and getting some rest before I have to go again at 1:45. So if you think about that, going from 2:05 or 2:10 down to 1:45, that's a crazy, that's per 100 yards. We're talking about 20, 25 seconds per 100 yards when you're doing repeats. Yeah, I've gotten a lot faster at my sprints. Like in a meet, if I swim a 50 or 100, yes, I've gotten faster at that too. But I've decreased the time per 100 yards for that benchmark test by that much, which is huge. And then my test, when I swim in meets, I do the 500 yards in the race. So when I do a meet, I love to do the 500 yards, and I've decreased that from about a year into me swimming. I think I finished in around 8:30 something, and now I can get that in the low 7:40s. Probably better than that if I really, really train, but with COVID, I kind of stopped pushing so hard with it. So that's huge. That's huge. It's definitely worth your while to swim at the Masters. And not only is it going to help you with your athleticism and your swimmability, but it's so much fun. I have made such good friends. My team is like my family. I've had some complicated pregnancies since I joined the team. I was put in the hospital for 25 days on bed rest, and actually had emergency blood transfusions and all kinds of crazy stuff happen to me. And my coach came to see me in the hospital. And my swim team was praying for me and supporting me, emails, questions about me. And when I came back, they were so excited that I was back. And, as adults, it's really hard to find your people. It's really hard to find your family. And the swim team is totally like my family now. So if you have a local Masters team and the schedule is doable for you, even if you can get in 1 or 2 swims with them a week, do it. You'll be so happy that you did. I'm going to try to find the link to where you can look up the Masters teams in your area, and I'm going to try to put it in the description for this video. So take a look in there. I'll see if I can find it and put it in there. But there is a way on the usms.org website to search for a Masters team near you. So if you have one, definitely contact the coach, look into it. If you can swim even 50 yards nonstop, take a break, do another 50, that's good enough. That's a good starting point to be able to join the team. And then you just build up from there. And everyone's experience is different. Some people takes longer than other people, but everyone has so much to gain from Masters, swim-wise and outside the pool as well. So that is my opinion, and I thank you for watching this video. Be sure to give it a thumbs up and support my channel by subscribing if you like this video and you want to see more like this. Share it with your friends, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.